guys, it is Aoife from FradBC Died Laughing, and it is my 3rd BookTube anniversary, which is completely insane. I cannot believe I've been doing BookTube for 3 years. It feels a lot shorter and a lot longer, but yeah, I have never ever regretted my decision to post that first video, even though my first few videos were really bad, and they're quite embarrassing to watch back now. But I do love watching them now and again, just so I can see how far I have come in terms of just being comfortable in front of the camera and all of that. So yeah, so I have absolutely loved my BookTube journey up until here, and I'm really hoping that this just marks another 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, who knows how long I'll be doing this. But yeah, definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made was to join BookTube, and I didn't know what kind of video to do for today, but I did do a poll on Twitter, and the one that did win was to talk about some books that I love because of BookTube. So I decided today that I would do that's what I would do. And if you guys do have any other kind of videos you would like to see me do in terms of maybe advice I would give to people who want to do BookTube, or a Q&A or anything like that, just let me know, because I will gladly do them. But this seemed to be the one that people wanted the most, so that is what I'm doing. I have a good list of books here. I mean, when do I never? The first book I want to talk about is a trilogy, and it is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I have talked about this before and how I kind of came about reading it. It was in one of my very first TBR jar picks. I picked this out of the TBR jar, and it is just one of those books that I had heard so much on BookTube. Everyone was talking about Jenny Han and To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and it just seemed like something that was very sickly sweet. I didn't know whether just some of the things I'd heard about characters in it, just I don't know, I felt like I was going to just, I think I thought that it was going to be a much younger read than it actually ended up being, but I had it in my TBR jar anyway. I think I had got it really cheap on Kindle or something like that, so I had it in my TBR jar, but I hadn't really any intention of actually reading it. And then I pulled it out, and of course I did end up reading it, and I immediately read the second one, which was P.S. I Still Love You, because I fell in love with that book so much, and I'm so glad I read it, because it is one of my favourite trilogies of all time now, I think, and I do actually really want to own a physical copy of them, because they are ones that I think I will be able to reread over and over again and just feel all those same kind of butterflies and the cutesiness of it. But it's just such an amazing series, so I'm so glad that I was able to read it, and the only reason I would have ever found out about this trilogy was because of BookTube. So yeah. The second one is also a trilogy, but there's also a spin-off as well, and I would kind of link them all in together, and that is going to be the Shadow and Bone series by Leigh Bardugo. So I do feel like this is probably something I would have eventually come across in the library, but I feel like it would have probably taken me a lot longer to pick up. I just obviously heard a lot of people talk about Shadow and Bone. It seemed to be one of these YA fantasies that everyone seemed to really love, and I think Six of Crows was maybe just about to come out when I picked up Shadow and Bones. I don't think it was out yet, or else if it was out, it was very recently out. So I just kind of kept hearing about Six of Crows as well. So I went and I got Shadow and Bone from the library, and yeah, absolutely loved that one as well, and very quickly read the other two, and then I've also reread Shadow and Bone on audiobook as well, because I really loved it, and I've read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom as well, and I've loved them all, and I cannot wait for King of Scars, which is Leigh Bardugo's newest book, and it's also a spin-off on the Shadow and Bone. So that one is going straight into my basket when I see it in the stores, because I'm so excited. The third book I want to talk about is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is again one that I think was quite popular my first year of BookTube, my first 6 months to a year, and it was one I kept seeing a lot of people talk about, and it was one that really intrigued me. Just the whole concept of this like magician who is a little bit evil but not really evil, and taking these girls, and how it had all these kind of fairy tale kind of twists to it, just sounded so great to me, and just sounded really intriguing. So I did really want to pick it up, and I fell in love with this book, and the only reason why I haven't a copy of this book, like a physical copy, is because I've been trying to find that hardback edition, the UK hardback edition, which is so beautiful, but I'm not even sure if they make it anymore. So I've been searching to try and find one of those somewhere, and like when I'm in the stores I see the paperback all the time, but I don't want the paperback, I want the pretty hardback. So I'm just being really materialistic with this. I just loved everything about this, from the really amazing romantic relationship in it that just like left me like with shivers sometimes, and also the really strong female friendship in it as well, which is so great to see in a book. The next one I have here is A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Backman, and this is one I do actually have a physical copy of, but I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere on these shelves somewhere, but I'm too lazy to go and find it. And this is one that I had heard a little bit about but not loads about, and then I ended up getting my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry through one of these BookTube. It was kind of a big BookTube kind of review thing. Oh god, I can't remember what it was called now, but one BookTuber was doing it where you're able to basically submit a form that you wanted to review certain books coming out. I was picked to review my grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry by Frederick Backman. That was my first Frederick Backman book. Absolutely loved that one, and then I decided I had to go and read A Man Called Uwe, which is the one I'd heard other people talk about, and I loved that one. It was just amazing. Perfect book for me. It's so adorable and just so heartwarming, and I really enjoyed it. So really, like, it's not just A Man Called Uwe, it's more like Frederick Backman in particular, because he's become one of my favourite authors now. So kind of like a auto-buy author for me now. So I don't think I would have picked up any of his books if it wasn't for BookTube. You by Caroline Kepnes was one, again, in my first 6 months on BookTube everyone was talking about. It was the thriller of that year, I think, and it was one that everyone was talking about, and I had to read it because I just kept hearing all these creepy things about it, and it definitely didn't disappoint, and I did really enjoy it. And again as well with Hidden Bodies, which was the sequel to it, which wasn't quite as good as You, but there were still parts of that really left me like gasping as well. I feel like You has kind of like, I feel like I've never read more thrillers than I have in the past maybe 2 years. I've gotten really like into thrillers now, where before I never was really into them, and I think one of these is because I've read some really good ones since starting BookTube, like You by Caroline Kepnes and some others that I will talk about a little bit later on in this video. So yeah, it definitely kind of put the bar up for me for thrillers now, and I know exactly what I want when I'm going into them, so this definitely did it for me. Salt of the Sea by Patties is another one that was quite a hot topic for a while when I first started BookTube, and I think it was one of the very first NetGalley books I got, or it was in the span of my first few months on NetGalley when I was approved to read this one, so it was also very exciting for me. But Salt of the Sea was just such a beautiful World War II tale, both tragic and beautiful in like equal measure. It left me kind of wanting to tear my heart out, like, and just cry on the ground like all at the same time. Just so beautiful. I have read Shades of Grey by Patties as well, which I really enjoyed. I'll definitely be picking up any more of her work that she does do. I really like the fact that she kind of tells stories that have often almost been forgotten about by history, so I really enjoyed that as well. And again, she is an author that I don't think I would have become aware of if it wasn't for the fact that I was watching and participating in BookTube. The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson was one of Morgan Matson's most recent books, and it is one that it's probably one of the, I think it's the only book I've ever actually pre-ordered on Amazon Kindle, because normally, like, if I'm going to be pre-ordering a book, I kind of just get a physical copy, but for some reason with this one I went for the Kindle copy, even though the physical copy has dogs on it, so I don't know why I didn't actually get a physical copy, but I think I was just so excited I ended up pre-ordering the Kindle book, because I had read Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, which I really enjoyed as well. To read The Unexpected Everything, and Morgan Matson is not a name I'd ever heard of before watching BookTube. Like, she's not typically an author you would see on Irish bookshelves or in like the Irish YA section. She's very much, I think, an American taste, and I'm not even sure if she would be in UK bookstores that much, but she's definitely not really in Irish bookstores unless it's a very well stocked bookstore. So I had never heard of her before, but I just kept hearing how great her contemporaries were. So when I read Since You've Been Gone, I knew I had to read The Unexpected Everything, and that was just everything I wanted it to be. There were just some really great things in that book about friendships and toxic friendship and friendship breakups, and how sometimes you have to break up friendships just for your own good. That I thought was really refreshing, and I really enjoyed seeing that represented, because it's happened to me. I've said it before so many times in my life where I've had those kind of relationships and they've really taken their toll, and I just love seeing the fact that those things happen represented in YA, and yeah, so I really enjoyed that and appreciated that. All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Vibran Greenwood is one I actually did a complete video review on, and it is one that was quite controversial because it is basically about a relationship between an adult man and a young girl. And the thing is, when you first hear about it, you're like, ugh, disgusting, like what? And I had kind of seen some people, I've seen it kind of crop up on TBRs or maybe most anticipated stuff. I think I also saw it in Goodreads a little bit as well. But this is actually a really, really beautiful story, and one that like is so much more than it first seems, even though the initial obviously reaction to it is ew, gross, what the hell, why would you read something like this? But it's more those ones where you're like, no, like you just have to read it and you'll understand. So I just really, really enjoyed my reading of this one. I think this is one I also got on NetGalley, and yeah, I just loved it. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers is also one I saw a lot on science fiction fantasy booktubers when I started following a lot more of the SFF booktubers. A lot of them were talking about A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and this was just a little bit before A Close and Common Orbit was released, I think, which is the second book in the Wayfarers trilogy. And I kept just hearing people talk about this book, and I was just really curious about it, and eventually it prompted me to get it from the library, and oh, it was just so amazing. I just love this book so much. Again, one that I do definitely need to get a physical copy of, because not only is the story amazing, but the covers of these books are just so beautiful as well. So yeah, one I do definitely need to add to my shelves. Becky Chambers will probably become an auto-buy author or an auto-read author for me as well, because I'm definitely going to be reading the third book in the series as well, which I cannot remember the name of right now. But yeah, I just love this one too. Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips is a book I have talked about plenty in the past few months. I've talked about it in a lot of tags, but again, this is one that I would not have read if it wasn't for BookTube. I had seen this kind of crop up a few times, but I'd never known what it was actually about, and then I saw Heather over at Bookables actually talk about it, and I knew that I wanted to read it straight away. I knew that it was one that was just going to really take my breath away, and it did. It just left me in such a state of anxiety, but kind of in a good way, in the fact that I read it all in one sitting, and I think it was like half three in the morning when I finished it, because I just could not go to sleep until I put that one down. And the last one I want to talk about is The Good People by Hannah Kent, and this is the reason because I don't think I would have found out about Burial Rights by Hannah Kent if it wasn't for BookTube, which I read, I enjoyed, I didn't love, but I enjoyed it, and then I went on to read The Good People, which I absolutely adored. I just thought was a really amazing portrayal of rural Irish people in that time, and I just really appreciated that portrayal of Irish people as well. I thought it was really authentic, and I thought it was done with a lot of respect, so I really enjoyed that one too. And my battery is about to die, so I'm going to end this video here. Please let me know all your thoughts and stuff down below. I would love to know. And again, any videos you want to see me do, just leave them down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for joining me on my journey the past 3 years, and I hope you guys stick around for more. Bye!